Thank you all for being here today over your lunch hour. I'm going to try and share my screen. I am a club leader from Otero County and have worked with two different clubs over the last 8 years. And I'm just going to be sharing just some things that I've learned from experience and different situations. The great thing about being a leader is that our 4-H motto, learn by doing, applies to us also. And so we learn a lot through experience and just going through each 4-H year. Three things that I'm going to focus on today are what I think helps the most in setting up your club or preparing for a new 4-H year or trying to increase membership. The first one is to focus on creating a place for everyone to belong. And whether you have a small club or a large club, it's so important that everyone feels welcome and that we provide flexibility for them. We have, over 200 projects, so there really is a place for everyone in 4-H. And it doesn't mean you as a club leader or as a volunteer leader have to be an expert in all things. By no means. That is not at all what you have to do. But if you are able to help these members find their place, it can definitely help increase your membership, help make your meetings more interesting, and really just create a fun place. And I love this quote where it says, "There are no strangers here, just friends you haven't met yet." And that truly is what 4-H is. Especially, I love to watch my club over the year just get to know each other, and the friendships that are formed both with adults and youth is really incredible. And then the other thing that I wanted to add is, especially with our officer teams, and if you've got an officer team that's made up of young members, you may spend a lot of time coaching them through how to be an officer and how do we run a meeting. If you've got older members who are in a lot of different activities, it's really important, I feel, in my experience, to be flexible with them and to try and help them not have to choose their other organizations over 4-H, but to try and work with them through, organization and priorities, but also being flexible with them. I have a young officer team this year, and so I have to be very flexible in that they haven't done this before, and they're all brand new at it. So we have been very flexible in learning how to run meetings, and it's been a great experience for me too on learning how to communicate. The second component I feel that helps a lot with my club meetings and with my club in general is communication. There are so many apps out there, aren't there, about how to communicate and how to reach our people. And it feels like, there's a million of them. I would strongly encourage you to find one that works the best for you. And communication is so key in keeping our membership involved, also helping them feel like they matter, and also making sure that they feel included. And so for me, email has been the easiest, and also it keeps me the most organized. And so I email at least once a month. During our busy seasons, I may email weekly. It's just so important to be consistent in sharing information with them and also providing resources for them. I will say, the longer you're involved in working with people, oftentimes there will be challenges, or there may be opportunities where there's some conflict. As a 4-H leader, if you can help monitor the deadlines and really treat your families fair and consistent with, the big one that we as club leaders and as volunteer leaders have to deal with is who's in good standing and in order for them to compete, or as extension agents, who signed up on time or met the deadline. My club, we also have a rule about paying your dues, and so I try very, very sternly to be fair and just in all of our deadlines so that every family knows Katie's going to communicate if I'm not in good standing. I communicate very early in the spring so that we don't have any drama over the summer. I try really hard to communicate that way. I also spend a lot of time including my agents in those emails so that if a parent reaches out to them, they at least have the opportunity to be in the loop. They don't have to, reply to everything, but that way they know just kind of what's going on. This has worked well for me. I have a large club. If I had a smaller club and I could use a Remind app or use texting, I would. But some of my families live without a lot of great cell phone service. So email has just worked out well for me. The last thing that I want to encourage you is that meetings matter. And I know that's what we're talking about today, is that our 4-H meetings and how do we increase our membership and make our meetings matter. I cannot stress the importance of not wasting our family's time. And so if you've got 4-H meetings that are only running, 10 to 15 minutes, oftentimes people will start to complain because they're driving a long way for something that they have to be at. They want it to matter to them. And so I'm not saying you have to have, like a 2-hour meeting. Although if you have a smaller club and you can do a short business meeting and then go into some project work, that's awesome. I've heard of at Forum, I had lots of leaders that would say, we pick one project, like the normal animal from the Vet Science Project, and we work through that throughout the course of the year, which is wonderful. I have about 70 kids, so that would be very hard for me. So I spend a lot of time promoting projects at our meetings, and then we get together throughout the month and the kids can choose what is relevant to them. Something I did implement because my club is larger is project highlights. And so every year we go through roll call and the kids spend 30 seconds at least giving us a project highlight once throughout the year. That's it. The cool thing was the first year it was just them, hey, I have a goat. This is what I'm doing with him. I'm excited to show, that sort of a thing. This last year, I saw an increase of about 30% of those kids actually doing an illustrated talk or bringing a poster. We had a lot of kids bring animals and do little demonstrations on them, and it was fantastic. So it's definitely been something that I look back and I go, okay, each year, how can we improve? And it's been wonderful to see the growth in the kids and their comfort level of being in front of people change. Also, just like if you are, an agent or a teacher and you want to bring in a guest speaker, there are so many resources we have at a county level in our communities, your extension agents, NRCS agents, game wardens, veterinarians, all of our elected officials, they can all come and share with your club. Something that I always need a reminder of is to have fun with the kids. And so incorporating some fun into your meetings, or maybe instead of having a business meeting one month, you go bowling, something like that. And then also you can do some service projects throughout the year. You don't have to have all of these things at one meeting, but just to help provide some content to your meetings. And then lastly, I'll leave you with this quote: 4-H, it's about the people you meet that you'll always remember. And I just think about the honor and privilege we have to work with youth in 4-H and how just an incredible opportunity it is. We all, if you were privileged enough to be in 4-H when you were younger, you probably remember your club leader or some of your best friends from 4-H. And it's neat how this organization stays with us. So with that, I just want to encourage you, if you haven't been able to register for the Adult Forum in Las Cruces on November 11th, we would love to have you there. I love going to Forum because it gives me a lot of great ideas for my club, also encourages me as a leader, and it's just great to be with other adults from across the state. So that's what I have for today. Are there any questions or maybe some things, some best practices that have worked well for you in your club that you would love to share with us? We would love to learn. That's the great thing about 4-H, is that we're all continuing to learn.
Thank you, Katie. That was an excellent presentation. And I know it opens the floor for a lot. It's a broad topic. So there's so much that we can talk about here today. If folks have any questions specifically for Katie, feel free to just shoot them out and she'll get those answered for you as best she can.
Yeah, Katie, that was a great overview. This is Leanne. I just hopped on for a minute. Thank you for the presentation. It's really contained well. And I think that leaders could get a lot from this throughout county. So I put that in the chat. If there's a way you can make that available, we'd
Yes,
appreciate it.
absolutely.
Yes,
I will do
wonderful.
that. I will do that. Thank you.
One question that I have, Katie, that we see from time to time here is, leaders kind of get burned out from time to time, and they often lose their momentum or they lose their excitement as far as running a club. What kind of advice can you offer to to people in those situations?
That's a great point. And because of time, we can't dive into how do we recruit adults to help us, but it's such a valued part. Just because you're a club leader or maybe a project leader who, is doing annual sort of things, definitely reach out. And if you need help, or if there's someone who can help you with things, I have a Cloverbud leader who takes a tremendous pressure off of me. Something else that I learned as my personal kids got older, we take off the month of May and December because life is just too crazy. It's too hard for me to juggle May and December. Now, we may do something fun as a club, but we don't have a business meeting per se. And so that has really helped me to realize I don't have to have a meeting every month. I definitely, am very considerate in my family's time and making sure they can plan ahead so that they know, hey, we're not having a meeting in May or December. So as you're trying to, plan out what meetings you're coming to. And I also think relying on the other adults in your club. If you've got moms or dads or grandpas or grandmas who say, hey, I want to help with this, or, the line of, if you need anything, let me know. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I need you to do this. Because oftentimes, if we're specific in our request, people do agree to help us. So very rarely have I been turned. I mean, sometimes people are just out of town and that's fine. But if you are feeling overwhelmed, don't quit, rest, regroup, and then hopefully you'll be able to look at, okay, what are some changes that we can make so that this is more feasible for me? But excellent point.
Very good. Thank you so much for that good advice. So we'll take any last questions at this time. We'd like to move on to our next Take 10. So if you have anything lingering, feel free to ask.
I have a question. Thanks again so much, Katie. The info you gave today was great. I really appreciate it. I'm going to start. We've been in 4-H for quite a few years now, but I'll be a club leader this year. And so I'm just trying to plan out our months and our activities. Is there a resource out there, or do you have like I had one club leader tell me, we always start with a leather working project. Like I want a way to kind of showcase the different projects that are available in 4-H to our new club members. Do you typically hold like a showcase month, or how do we get that project info out to our members with little samples?
Right. So I would say in the winter time, we will talk about some different projects and we'll bring examples. Our extension agent, our home economist, Kelly Knight, has a ton of examples of indoor projects. So she'll come whenever I ask her to. Oftentimes she'll come in June when kind of families are gearing up for that, but I love the idea of doing that in the fall or winter. One thing I do, because I love our contests, I spend March and April introducing 4-H contests during our meetings. It's our recreation time. And I'll set up little contests or, like a class of livestock or a wildlife identification or family and consumer science, consumer decision making. And that has helped expose kids to and parents to the contests. So there's lots of ways you could do it. And also asking some of your your kids who are re-enrolling, if they would bring some of their projects to come, that would be awesome too.
Great. Those are great ideas. Thanks.
Yes.
All right, excellent question. Any other questions before we wrap up today? Well, with that, I think we'll go ahead and close the meeting today. I invite you all to jump on the next meeting, which starts at 12:45. We're a couple minutes in, but I think you can still join in. Katie, thank you so much for your presentation and for answering questions for us today.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.